Hi, everybody, and welcome to this month's edition of the Audio Production Town Hall. You can find us here each and every month talking about all sorts of audio-related topics, everything from music production to audio post-production to game audio and beyond. So my name is Eric Berzins. I'm the course director of Project and Portfolio 5 Audio Arts, and today I'm joined by Mr. Mike O'Connor. He's a freelance sound designer at IATSE Local 700. So how's it going, Mike?
Going good. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Glad to have you here. So you have had a very diverse career. You got your start, I think, around 15 years. You've been at this for like 15 years or so. Is that right?
Yeah. I graduated in 2010, and I started in production audio while as often as possible trying to nab any post-sound work. So mostly started in production in 2010, but within 3 years, I was like full-time post-sound.
Nice. Yeah, I started out in production as well. I feel like it's a little easier to get into that starting out. You know, sometimes you don't even need gear necessarily. You just need to be a warm body who knows how to operate the equipment. You know. That's where
the money's at.
Yeah, it paid pretty well too.
For meaning short films and other like projects that you as an entry-level beginner can approach, everyone needs to record dialogue on set, and they need to pay you something. Whereas some projects don't even make it to post at that level.
Right.
So, anyways.
No, I agree with you. I think it's accessible. It's also good for people starting out, because I think like a lot of people I met on set ended up giving me post work later on. And it's hard not to network on a film crew. You know, you end up naturally meeting people and collaborating. So I think that's always a good strategy starting out. And so you're now a union sound editor, sound designer with the IATSE, which, if students aren't aware, that is the primary film union and stagehand union, and represents all sorts of different professionals in audio and film and media. It's the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, Motion Picture Technicians, Artists, and Allied Crafts of the United States, its territories, and Canada. It's a mouthful.
Nailed it.
Yeah. So that's the IATSE, and you've been a member for several years now. It's like 2019, and before that, you were working on indie projects and things where, you know, I think students have a hard time understanding. Like, there's a union world and there's a non-union world, and there's a lot of different work out there. But you know, most people have to cut their teeth on the lower budget non-union stuff first, just to get experience, to get credits and things. What was your experience like? If you had to compare and contrast the two worlds, just working wise, like what do you think the biggest difference is in working non-union versus union, other than money, maybe?
No, great question. I mean, the on paper, like the benefits you just mentioned, money. I mean, union work is there are certain guarantees of how much you're going to get paid. Which is nice to have that sort of job security and pay security. Also, you just have, like, I work in TV mostly, and when you get on a show, that is a lot of work you've just secured for a single season. I mean, the first show I got was, I want to say it was either 8 or 10 episodes, and I was given 7 days per episode, so that's 60, 70 days right there of work, whereas in freelance post-sound world, you're lucky if you get 3 days in a row. That's like, I feel stoked if I got 3 days of work per week in the post-sound freelance world, whereas working in union world, I find that it's just a lot more consistent, the work that you get. But beyond that, with the non-union world, the quality of the project will range, and you can work on amazing non-union work. I mean, a lot of, I think if not all commercial work, like trailers and stuff, that's all non-union, and they pay very well. So it's not like union equals good pay, non-union is bad. I just think in the realm that I worked in, which was a lot of non-commercial, that was the case. I did find some people who were doing some pretty cool branded content for online that was non-union. They got big clients, so they would pay decently, but again, it'd be like a single day of work.
Right.
So it's like not the same sort of longer, sort of more secure line of work.
So, you know, you've got the sound supervisor, you got sound editors, you got Foley, you got re-recording mixers. I think a lot of students get their you know, minds blown by just how many different people there are working on this in tandem. You know, when you get approached to do a gig, you know, your union now, so the union is drawing up the contracts. Like you don't have to necessarily drop your own deal memos. Is that correct? Or you just have to sign a deal memo that you get from.
Look, I ain't no Ben Burt. I can't negotiate my own money these days. I have friends, colleagues my age who do, because they can.
Right.
They've got bigger titles. I've worked on a lot of, I'd call them mid-tier, like works of the people. You know what I'm saying? So like I just pretty much accept the rates set because they're good rates. Their union has like set rates for shows. But I think the part where I do have a little bit of a say is like my supervisor will say, hey, Mike, we got this show, and each episode we have budgeted X amount of days for you. And like, in my own head, like I've had projects where they go, hey, we've got like 4 days budgeted per episode and it's an hour long. And I go like, oh, that's sounds really tight. I'm used to like 5 or 6 days on a show like that. So I'll like have that kind of negotiating power to be like, I'm not used to that. Like, can we discuss this further? Or like, will there be room if there's like a much busier episode to add a day or two just for those episodes? So I do have some conversation there. And now that I've been doing this for 6 odd years, I know I'm pretty good. Like I still have imposter syndrome. So I'm quite used to going like, yes, thank you for the opportunity and just being super grateful. But now I've come to learn like, oh, right, my skills are very valuable and like I don't tend to get a ton of notes. So I know my work works on its own and makes showrunners happy. So it's like, wait, maybe I should speak up. So so I do make my voice heard if I feel like a show does need more days. And I've seen that actually take place. It doesn't always work, but I'll on the second season of a show be like, that first season could have loved another day per episode. It was a little busy with all those car scenes and explosions and gunfights, and they're like, okay, yeah, we got another day for you. So there's a little bit of haggling room for me there.
That's cool. We're gonna try again on the question.
Sure. How do I sound now?
Okay, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Mike can hear you. Okay.
So we just had someone reach out interested in how you market yourself. Other contacts that you may have, and other important areas of negotiation.
Great question. So in terms of like contacts, like Eric kind of hinted at the beginning, like when I started off, I was mostly doing production sound. So you're just organically meeting a bunch of people on set. And I learned pretty quickly on, like, if you just like show up with business cards and you're like kind of pushy about it, like, hey, like, just so you know, I do post sound, like, it's not too fruitful. I noticed sometimes you would see people just literally lay their calling card out on a table, like near Crafty or something. And I'm like, that's a little more passive. I'm not a very pushy, networky person myself, for better or for worse. With that said, now might be a good time for this story. Like, I'll just say in general in sound, it's great to be curious. Like keep your curiosity up, because like that for me has actually turned into concrete results in my own like career. Like I just in general like share with people my passion for sound, and whether that be through my Instagram, which is mostly personal, friends and family, and sure I let in like other sound people in there. People just know I like sound, and so when it comes to like talking to people, like you can't tell people, hey, I do sound, I also do a little bit of like finger painting, and I like to do dog walking, and like I also do like Trader Joe's runs. Like it's really good to identify yourself as like one thing. And you could just say I do post sound, but you could use a more romantic term like I'm a sound designer, and it just helps people remember what you do. And that's like a really hard thing to remember sometimes. Like I remember early in my career, my business card said like independent filmmaker, like video editor, sound designer. Like I was like listing everything I could do, and it's like no one will call me because they're just going to call someone who does that one role. So I would just say like pick a role, tell people that's what you do. And then on top of that, with the like, I brought up the curiosity thing because I one time on the field recording Slack, which I heard you mention the other day on another one of these. So I don't know how familiar your students are, but this is big sound community online. I asked a channel that was Los Angeles focused where I live. I just asked, does anybody have a whirly tube that I could borrow? I want to record one. It's like a little musical instrument that's like, woo, really like obscure thing. I wasn't thinking, wow, I'm really going to like meet some people this way. But what ended up happening is this person, I don't mind calling him out, Mitchell Lessner, happened to have one of these things, and I borrowed it from him like 2.5 years ago, and now we're like really tight friends. He honestly, I want to owe him like the credit for me working on like the last 2 years of projects, and that's not an over exaggeration. I know that kind of sounds wild, but it's the industry has had its ups and downs, and Mitch has kind of, his phone keeps ringing off the hook, and so he'd hit me up and be like, hey Mike, I can't do this other show, are you available? And honestly, I could track like each of my shows from the last 2 years to this one individual, Mitch. So thank you, Mitch, if you're watching this. But it's only because I asked for a whirly tube, like a $10 piece of plastic. And if I hadn't done that, I honestly may have not had a lot of work these past couple of years. So like, I just say like, follow your curiosity. Like even when you're like, I don't know if this is going to benefit me. I think just meeting people in general is always good. And it doesn't need to be in a very pushy manner. Like, hey, by the way, if you need a sound editor or sound designer, I just think like work on your own skills. That will organically come up. And then people will just want, if they jive with you, they'll give you a call or an email or whatever. Because that's what I've found. People will call me or email me and say, hey, Mike, we'd like you to work on this thing. And I'm like, do you want to hear a reel of mine? Like, I know you haven't heard my work. And they're like, nah, you seem cool. And I'm just like, wait, what? Like early in my career, I was toiling away at these reels, which you should still do. But I was so perplexed by that. But I think people want someone who's going to show up and do a fine to excellent job. They don't want someone who's not going to show up. So like, I think, and then someone who's pleasant to work with, and like, you know, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm affable. I won't bite. So I don't know. So that was, they asked about connection, like how do you meet people? So I just say like, yeah, like working on projects, and it doesn't have to be, I've mentioned production sound, obviously that could be post sound, and make an effort with post sound. It's so easy to just be siloed off. Like I won't meet most of my teams in person till I'm done with the show. And this is like even in the indie world of non-union. So like make an effort to go to the premieres, even ask them like, hey, is there going to be a rap party, whatever. Like if you're not invited, I mean, maybe that's weird to invite yourself, but like if they offer it, like definitely take up any and all in-person activities, because you never know. Like you might connect on something else that's not sound, and then you just, like this guy Mitch and I, like we're both drummers, we both have imposter syndrome, or I'll speak for myself, I have it. And Mitch understood that, and I feel like we just really hit it off, and then naturally just became friends who happened to want to give work to one another.
Right.
So, and it's gone both ways. I've offered him jobs.
Cool. I think we had another student question. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a question here. Where does your main revenue come from, and how has that changed since you first started freelancing?
Did you hear that, Mike?
Oh no, I got nothing at all.
Oh, I got
Silence.
nothing.
Check. You guys
Sorry.
hearing me?
I think I could
sorry.
just.
Yeah. There we go. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
I got you now.
Where does your main revenue come from, and how has that changed since you first started freelancing?
Great question. Main revenue is certainly the union work that I'm getting these days. I still do non-union work as a union sound editor and sound designer. We don't have to lock ourselves off to only union work. I believe as a SAG actor, a union of SAG, I believe they say you can't do non-union work. So it's nice that I have the freedom to do both. So it's not exclusively union work, but yeah, my main revenue in that case is like both union and non-union sound editing and sound design. And then in the case of non-union stuff, I'm probably doing everything, like the editorial, the mix, the dialogue edit probably. But yeah, I'd say a bulk of my income these days is union sound editorial work, whether it be like cutting backgrounds, hard effects, or design. And then I know the question wasn't answered, but like passively, I do earn a little bit of income every year on sound effects libraries that I've put together and I sell. They're not at all like a huge sum of money. I could even say that like I noticed in the last year that earnings dropped like a noticeable amount, and even the year before that a little bit. And I think that's like showing the kind of shifts in the industry, which I'm an optimist. I think things will and then go back up. So I just thought that was interesting. So I don't want to like name numbers, but it's like it's enough to afford me and my wife like a nice vacation every year at least. So it's like it's a nice little passive income, and I do encourage everybody to try that out. It could be a small library, but especially something like hard to record. I think my first one was a quadcopter. Because I worked on a show, literally a 10-episode reality TV show about quadcopter operators, which who knew they could make a show about that, but of course they did. And so I was like, well, I don't have the money to buy the only one on the market, which was like a $200 quadcopter library. So I was like, I'll just find somebody I know and record theirs. And then I released that, and it actually was like a really successful library because I think there weren't that many out there. So I would say if you're gonna make a sound library, maybe make something that's a little less covered. If you go on the sound effects websites, A Sound Effect, I'd say is the one I would use, the biggest one, or I'd say very approachable, pretty big, and I go there when I want to buy sound effects. And if you go, man, you know what I want to do a library on? Car traffic, and then type in the keywords car traffic, and you'll probably find 200 libraries that are like city sounds, traffic. Which doesn't mean you can't do it. If you have an amazing idea, go for it. I just released an ambience library, so that sounds boring, but I wanted to do it. So
they did symphonic ambiences, I think it was. That's the one, right?
Yeah.
You have a novel approach to it, though, so that's cool. Good job.
Yeah, I guess it was novel. Yeah. But anyways, I won't make this a promotion.
That's fine. So
promotional segment. But yeah.
I think
mostly sound editorial is how I mostly earn my money through union and non-union work.
Sure. So Mike, just to get on the union topic a little bit more. Mostly what I've heard from people is, you don't really need to join the union until you need to join the union. Which to students I think can sometimes be confusing. It's sort of like, okay, you have this tier of union production, which is higher budgeted usually, and you've got various guilds, and you've got all these people to have to network with and interface with. At what point did you decide, or were you faced with that situation of like, okay, I need to join the union in order to, or I've been offered a job on a union show, but I'm not in the union yet. What was that process like for you once you got to that point of like, okay, now I really need to join, or I'm not going to get this gig? What was that process
Great
for
question.
you?
Yeah, great question. So there's this thing called the roster. And so before you work in the union, you have to get on that roster. And that's just saying you are what's called union eligible. I think what that's all to say is it's showing union staff, like your supervisors to be, people who might hire you. It shows that you are a skilled worker and that you know your stuff. And in order to prove that you're the skilled worker, they have a set of guidelines that you must fulfill to get on this roster. And so when I joined in 2019, that was, and again, don't quote me on this because they may have updated it, but when I was joining, they asked, in the last 3 years, you must have completed 175 days of a certain type of sound work. And when I say a certain type of sound work, they have very specific guidelines on that. At the time, that was projects that have been to film festivals, projects that have been to broadcast, which my reality TV would have applied if I had joined the union in time, but I did not. All that stuff was 3 years later than when I decided to join, so I kind of threw all that away. So don't do what I did. If you happen to work at a non-union company that is putting stuff on broadcast, all that would apply. But anyways, I gathered those days, so to speak, and there's, I'll just tell you right now, honestly, there might be ways to maximize those days. If you worked one day and got paid $1,000, you might not tell them you only worked one day on a project. You might tell them you worked 5 days. And as long as, I think literally the bar was, you simply had to, each hour had to represent a minimum wage hour. So I'm not telling you to fudge numbers. I'm just saying all they're looking at is minimum wage, hour to hour kind of ratios. And so that helped me, because it's honestly, for me, it was really hard to get applicable days to that. And ironically, I would work on a $250,000 web commercial, right? It would be published on YouTube, and I got paid a decent wage. I say $250,000 the whole project. I got paid a couple $100, but even so, it was a big name client, all this stuff, and I tell the union, yeah, I got this day, and they're like, no, that doesn't count because it wasn't broadcast and it wasn't at a film festival. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, YouTube isn't a professional service. So I'm like, okay, so they have very specific, stringent standards of what those guidelines are. So once you meet them, boom, you're on that roster. And then I believe at that point, you kind of are locked in as like union eligible. And so that should be your goal, getting on that roster. Because once you're on there, you're like safely in. Whereas like that whole timeline of the last 3 years, like we're going to make sure you had those days, they will just keep moving as time goes along. And those old jobs you used to work, in my case, the reality TV stuff, all kind of fell off, so to speak. And I couldn't use any of them, ironically. Right. So get on that roster if you want to go union. And then when you get the opportunity, in my case, it was I had been working with a supervisor, Mark Camperell, and he was getting me all non-union work for many years. And he honestly was like, Mike, I actually want to bump you up. Like, you deserve to graduate in your career. So he kind of recommended me. He straight up recommended me to another sound supervisor named Tom DeGorder of this company, Atomic Sound, who did some small shows like Lost and Westworld and Leftovers. Like, yeah, tiny little shows. No, so he recommended me to this great sound supervisor. And at that point, when Mark, my first supervisor, said, Mike, I want to recommend you, make sure you get on the roster. Like, so I'm like ready to go. So I think I like just squeaked it out in time. Like by the time that guy, Tom DeGorder, was ready to bring me on as a sound editor, I had completed all my paperwork with, it's called contract services. And I know some of this might go in one ear out the other, but to get on that roster, you are communicating with contract services, which is, it's like they work.
Yeah, they manage the roster, industry experience roster, and then students can find that on the website if you just Google like contract services.
Yeah, so essentially it was like I got locked and loaded on that roster, and therefore Tom could hire me. Whereas if Tom said, hey, Mike, I want to hire you, and I was like, okay, let me get my paperwork together, it would have been too late. Like his show would have started in a couple of weeks. So it's like you want to be on that roster, and that tells anybody who wants to hire you, like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Like literally at that point, I think all you have to do is pay your dues.
Right. So before that, you don't have to pay. Like, don't join the union before you have a reason to join the union. Meaning, like, if you're joining the union without having an offer, then it's like you're paying for nothing. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And what those dues go towards eventually, once you are working and all that, is your health insurance, your pension, all this stuff. So if you're not working, you're not reaping the benefits of paying for the union. So. So yeah. And
just so students know, it's the benefit system there. It's designed to protect the freelancers and make sure they've got health care and a way to retire at some point and all those things that all workers want. But you do have to continue paying into the system, like you said, paying dues, and I believe you do have to work a certain number of hours per year to maintain those, to be a member in good standing to still get all those benefits, right?
Yeah, and I know health insurance is the most exciting topic that all of you, when you joined Full Sail, were like, I can't wait to like get good health insurance. But honestly, both my wife and I have dealt with health stuff and had to go to the hospital for procedures. I am so grateful that I had really good health insurance because they offer really good plans. And I cannot tell you how many tens of thousands of dollars we have saved collectively having really good insurance. And I believe it's free for me to have my wife, so essentially one dependent, on my health plan. And if we have kids, it's $25 a head, like per month, to add them to the plan. So if you want to have a family, I cannot stress enough how great that benefit is. It's an enormous benefit.
Cool. So did we have another question? Okay. Did I hear that?
No other questions.
No other question. Okay.
A lot of people love this info.
Good. Cool. So how much time do we have left? 10 minutes? Time to wrap up? Okay, cool. So I think we're going to wrap things up, Mike. So thank you so much for joining us and sharing your wisdom. That was great. I think that clears a little bit about the union world and lifts the veil a little bit. So that's good. Thanks so much.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you. Oh, please. Oh my gosh. I can't help myself. Nice. Anyways, no, it was so much fun. Thanks for having this. And I wish you all luck in what you do, and just stay curious.
Awesome. So that's going to wrap things up for us on today's audio production Town Hall. Be sure to check us out each and every month. We will be doing this on the fourth Monday of the month. So be sure to follow us and check out each month's installment. So thanks again.